Hello all and welcome to episode 13 of Parry's Pickups. So we're here again and I've been buying games again, no surprise there. But actually I'm going to start this week just briefly talking about a game that I mentioned on one of my previous pickup videos. And that is this particular game here. Driver Parallel Lines. Now why should I talk about this? Well, I've been playing it this morning. And you see, if you remember my last video, I wasn't 100% sure if this was the same game that's on the Wii. They have different covers. It's exactly the same game. Well, I say exactly, just about. There's cutscenes in this that I don't remember being in the Wii version, but I could be wrong there. But basically, it's the same thing. And I wasn't sure when I picked this up if it was the same thing as I already had. Shame. Anyway, I've really been enjoying playing it. I've probably played now more of the PS2 version than I have of the Wii version. And the cool thing about this was, as I mentioned last time, it came with a soundtrack. And I can only remember that Iggy Pop was on it. But this time around playing it, Bowie, Blondie, great 70s sounds. And I still, I'm not with the table. I've still yet to check out what's actually on that CD, but I hope it's close to what's in the actual game soundtrack. But I just wanted to say how good this actually is. It's pretty close to GTA. It's quite far removed from other driver games because you're not playing the good guy in this one. You're playing kind of, not 100%, but the bad guy, a criminal at least, anyway. And it's also, I think it's got an 18 certificate? Well, it's certainly the most violent driver game. I've yet to encounter any of that sort of violence. Quite yet, it's not quite GTA in that respect. But the cars just handle so well. I just have to say that again. Anyway, I like that game. It's a good one. So there's a recommendation for you. And without further ado, I'll move on. So, went to Aarhus the other day. My girlfriend was over for the weekend, and along with Matt Boyle, we went to Aarhus. And Matt introduced us to this place, Epic Panda in Aarhus. There's their website there, epicpanda.dk. This is a Danish pop culture fan merchandise shop, and they do all sorts of merchandise, gaming and popular culture and such, as you'd imagine. And they do board games as well. You can actually use a space to play board games, tables out. It's a very relaxed atmosphere in the shop. They also have a great selection of video games at what I felt were really reasonable prices. And really friendly staff there. So I really suggest if you're in Denmark and in the city of Aarhus, it's well worth checking out Epic Panda. I can show you now what I picked up from there. I picked up two N64 games. The first being Robotron 64, which is the classic Robotron for the N64. It's got some really intense soundtrack, I'll tell you that, and it's just, if you want that kind of straightforward arcade style type of game, then this, you can't go wrong with this. It's interesting to note that how the game plays, because of course Robotron's like a twin stick shooter. So usually in the arcade you'd have two sticks, one to move and one to fire in any direction. Of course N64 hasn't quite got that. So of course you can use your stick to move or your D-pad, and then your actual firing is done here. So you can only really fire in 4 directions. But that's not so bad. It works well because the level's sort of like based on a grid system, so you don't find you're having to shoot off at angles to get certain enemies. So it works really well actually, and it's just straightforward fun game. And that was 100 kroner. I hadn't got this yet because every time I looked for it on eBay, it was silly money. It was a little. But then Matt tells me when he looked the other day, 100 kroner is about the going rate. I thought it was a little bit more than that. So when I saw it at 100 kroner, I was like, yeah. Well, that's about £10. So very happy to have picked that up. According to Retro Collect, it's a rare game. They had 2 copies in Epic Panda, so I'm not sure exactly if it is. Some of that information on Retro Collect, it seems a little bit off to me at times. Anyway, next up, Top Gear Rally 2. So I've been thinking about this for a while, but I didn't really want to pay a lot for it because I wasn't 100% sure about it, but I'd read some positive things. And yes, maybe go as far as saying it's the best rally game that I've played personally on the N64. The only other rally game I can think off the top of my head would be the first Top Gear Rally. Then there is V-Rally, of course, but my memories of that hazy, but I remember not really liking V-Rally as a child. Maybe if I played it now I would. Anyway, what can I say about Top Gear Rally 2? It's okay. I mean, I was playing Colin McRae the other day, the original on PS1, and if you put the two up against each other, I think Colin McRae would win every time. But it's pretty good. And if you want a rally game for N64, I think you can do far worse than this. Not that there's a lot to pick from. But it's got really high-res graphics. One thing I wasn't quite sure about, though, was the damage system. So your car can get damaged quite easily, and that's a real shame because once your car's damaged, really you do suffer a massive penalty. You can do change your tyres mid-race, which is quite unique for a rally game. So yeah, I think I need to spend a little bit more time with Top Gear Rally 2. But it's okay, and for 50 krona from Epic Panda, I thought this was okay, because I've been curious about that for a while. Next up, we've got NBA Jam Tournament Edition for the Mega Drive. A fairly common game. I'm sure most of you who are into retro video games are familiar with NBA Jam. I hadn't bought this yet myself, even though I know it's a good game, because I'm pretty certain there's a version of the original NBA Jam on the Wii version of the updated NBA Jam. For those who don't already know, there is a Wii version of NBA Jam, which was sort of like a remake in a way. It's also been released on, I think, PS3 and Xbox 360. But that's a good game, and as far as I was aware, this was actually on the disc. But saying that, to have the original Mega Drive copy was too tempting at 50 kroner, so I picked it up, and I'm happy to add NBA Jam to my collection. In fact, I'm thinking I'd like a few more 16-bit sports games, because actually, as far as I'm aware, I only have this in a boxing game for the Mega Drive, and I'd like football, hockey, and some other ones as well, just to have a bit more variety in my Mega Drive collection. Just really more to experience that era of sports games, because sports games was something I was never into when I was a kid. I prefer platform games or racing games as such, but so we'll stick with sports games. And Virtua Striker 3 version 2002 for the GameCube, again 50 krona, like NBA Jam was as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. And this is a really nice condition, as everything in Epic Panda, I have to say. It's like they've really cherry-picked their stock, and I couldn't find anything there that was bad quality. I say the label's a little bit faded on Top Gear Rally, but that's beside the point. So it's great to have this one. And why would I want this? Well, I haven't actually got a straightforward football game for the GameCube. I have Sega Smash Football, which is great fun, but I wanted something that's a bit more traditional, and I picked this one in particular because, for those not aware, you can play as a football team comprised of Sonic characters within this appropriately named Sonic team. So that's that one. And I mentioned it just before, Colin McRae Rally. So it's all rally and sports games today. Colin McRae Rally is a fantastic game, and it deserved all the praise it got at the time, because it really was the best rally game around, and still holds up immensely well today. I was enjoying playing this with my girlfriend, 2-player. We had a great time. So yeah, I'm really happy to actually add a bit of gaming history to my. I do consider, something like Colin McRae Rally to be a real milestone in the rally series and driving games in general. So I'm happy to have that. Next up, we got any more from Epic Panda? Yes, we did. We got Micro Machines 2 Turbo Tournament for the Game Boy original. Matt Boyle thrust this into my hand and said, "Tom, you've got to buy this." And I was like, "What?" I've got Micro Machines. I think it's Twin Turbo on the Game Boy Color. He's like, trust me, this is very hard to come by. And yes, it's a rare game. And it's Micro Machines, so I was like, well, I love Micro Machines, and to have a Game Boy version of the original Micro Machines too, I thought, well, I can't say no really at 50 krona for this. It's quite valuable, and quite, especially apparently the Scandinavian copy, according to Matt. Anyway, I gave it a quick go, and first race, fine. Second race, when you got the sports cars, it was really fast, and I think because of the limited screen area on a Game Boy, rather difficult as well. So I think I've definitely got to spend more time to get to grips with this, because it's difficult to play on a handheld because of its speed. It's even more difficult to try and play it on an original DMG Game Boy because of the blurring that occurs on the screen when you're going fast. But, 50 krona, can't really grumble at that, and I'll have to give it another try. I got a couple more things from Epic Panda. I got MotorStorm Arctic Edge for the PS2. I wasn't actually aware that this got released on PS2. This was originally a PSP game, and I never played it. I was often curious about it because I like the MotorStorm series. And as a PS2 game, it really holds up well. Visually, looks great, plays really great. It does carry over a few things from the PSP version. The fact that the screen ratio is widescreen, and if it automatically adjusts to full screen, squishing the image. So if you've got one of them widescreen settings on your remote control, you can squid it back into the proper aspect ratio that it's been designed in. Also, the accelerator and the brake are on the shoulder buttons, which is unusual for PS2 driving games because they tend to be on the X button. So that also passes on from, I imagine, how the PSP setup was on the shoulder buttons, and also how MotorStorm usually is. But I was surprised to see this because I think MotorStorm is really considered a PS3 franchise. The first MotorStorm was released on PS3, and then this came on the PSP. Then it's interesting that to find a PS2 version of a MotorStorm game, that's actually really good as well. So if you like MotorStorm and you want to play it on a home console rather than a PSP, then really recommend this. This was 50 krona as well, in great condition, and a unique orange. It's actually a proper PlayStation 2 box with a memory card holder there. But cool. I think there are other orange boxes on PS2, but I can't. Maybe one of the iToy games, perhaps. This game, another sports game, boxing game, Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2, an early PS2 title, a rather common title, not worth a lot of money, very cheap, 25 krona. Maybe even worth less than that now, but this is a very good condition copy of the game, complete with manual, of course, and discs nearly spotless. I liked the first Ready to Rumble Boxing. Kind of fancied having a boxing game for PS2 because, to my knowledge, I don't think I've got one. So I thought, well, pick up Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2. And I'm just going to have to jump out of my seat for a second and go and get something. 1 minute. Because how can I do this episode without maybe my most prized find from my Epic Panda shopping trip, which was Digimon Rumble Arena 2 for the Xbox. This was also released on GameCube and PS2, and it's the second in the Rumble Arena series. I really like the PS1 Rumble Arena. Actually, Matt Boyle gave me a copy of PS1 game. And I've recently played the All-Star Rumble, I think, for PS3. I think it's called All-Star Rumble on PS3. That's quite good too. So I'm intrigued to give this a go. When I found out that this game existed, I was very eager to pick it up because I'm a big fan of fighting games. I collect fighting games, and this is a fighting game. But unfortunately, the prices on eBay were too high for my liking, upwards of £20. This game cost me 75 krona, which I thought was really reasonable for it, and a bit of a bargain actually. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, "Yup, I'm having that." So happy to have found that one. There are a couple of games that I picked up the other week that I forgot to mention in my last video, which I'll just cover now very quickly. Mario and Sonic Olympic Games, like the Wii game. Let's see what it's like on the DS. I imagine it's rather similar. Apart from it won't have the Wii controls, of course, so it probably have a lot of touchscreen stuff. I think it's called New Track and Field New International Track and Field for DS is actually a really good sports Olympics game. And lastly, nearly lastly, oh, done it in the wrong order. Anyway, I'm waving this, I better well talk about it now. This was actually picked up yesterday, and this was from Fona. Fona's a Danish, what do you call it, electronics shop that's going out of business, unfortunately. So they're selling off their stock. At the moment, it's 50% off. So this game is usually 150 krona, about £15. It came down to half of that, which is rather nice, isn't it? Especially for a Nintendo game. So I've played all the other Yoshi's Islands games in the series. I haven't played this one, so I'm quite curious to see what it's actually like. I got it for a very affordable price. And the game I was going to talk about, when I talked about Yoshi, just because I was so excited to do so, is this little loose cartridge. Sonic, what's it called? Sonic Pinball Party and Sonic Battle. So these are two Sonic games which I had prior to owning this. I'd never played before and always been rather curious about. Not part of the main Sonic game series, so I wasn't too fussed about not having them boxed, because I may or may not mentioned on the podcast on Matt Attack that I was trying to sort of collect all the main series Sonic games box. Now that may or may not happen, but yeah, this one I didn't consider I needed to have box. I just wanted to play the games, and it was probably about 50 krona. I can't quite remember. This was from Blue City in Vila, which is a second-hand shop. Sonic Battle is a fighting game, an arena-based fighting game. I think there's up to 4 players at one time. And interestingly, it's isometric 3D with 2D character sprites. So that's quite unique. It played okay. It didn't really hold my attention for very long, but I need to go back and experience it properly. The pinball games on here are good. There's a couple of tables. I think a Nights into Dreams table and a Sonic the Hedgehog table. There may be more, but I'm pretty sure that's the only 2. And it was, yeah, it played well for a Game Boy Advance pinball game. So quite happy, again, to have that. So really pleased with these pickups, and especially with what I managed to get from Epic Panda in Aarhus. We'll be going there again, for sure. And I know, what did Matt also picked up something there, but I'll let him talk about that on the podcast, which is tommatattack.com. You can listen to the podcast there. Alternatively, you can find us on iTunes or blastprocess.com. So thanks again for listening. Sorry if I was a bit all over the place in this episode, but I hope I got everything across there, I think. And all left for me to say is game on.